Excellency Dr. Abdallah Hamdok, Prime Minister of Sudan, to address you.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good morning, everybody. Distinguished panel members, distinguished delegates, participants, media representatives here present. It is indeed an honor and a great pleasure to be with you this morning and to address you on this important topic on media freedom. This would never have been possible a few months back. Thanks to the Sudanese people who made this possible, but thanks also to our friends all over the world who stood with us. Starting, I would like to appreciate and commend the role of the UK and Canada for initiating the global campaign to champion media freedom. I would never have thought of a better place or forum in introducing the new Sudan than this. The struggle of the Sudanese people is essentially struggle for democracy and freedom. It has been a peaceful revolution that lasted for over 3-4 months, and every time we thought it's dying down, it surprised us with its resolve, determination, and resilience until we got rid of the dictatorship. Our revolution slogan is freedom, peace, and justice, and we strive to exactly implement that. We came from very far. We have inherited an ugly legacy of repression, jailing of journalists, confiscation of newspapers, all forms of censorship. Most of the papers, if not all of them, are owned by the state with its repressive nature. That is also true to visual or other forms of media. Extremely repressive environment. And you can imagine how journalists will live under that. We share Lord Ahmed understanding of the role of the press in the freedom. Free press is a pillar in promoting democracy, good governance, and human rights. These are very real commodities in my country over the last 30 years. Free press help promoting a culture of tolerance, dialogue, establishing solid foundations of mediating differences through dialogue, rather than resorting to other means of repression. But most importantly, promote a culture of peace. It is something that we in Sudan, in the transitional government, we have it as our #1 priority. Have wars in all corners of our countries. Wars in Darfur, for those who know the country, in South Kordofan, the Blue Nile, the East. So a free media and press can contribute a lot in promoting that culture. Free media promote transparency, accountability, but also help us root out corruption and all malpractices by making information available to the public and create an environment where the populace are the guardian of everything we do in the country, put government under check, and truly represent the force power in a democratic dispensation. And we look forward to creating exactly that. Historically, we used to have this. We lost it for 30 years, but I think it's coming back. We know it's not easy, it's challenging. Of course, even in established democracies, there are challenges of media freedom. But we are determined to move in this direction, and with the support of friends and partners, we will be able to do that. We are putting in place very ambitious plans to support media freedom. we have the honor to announce to you that we have signed the Global Pledge for Media Freedom, and we look forward to be an active member of this campaign. We take it very serious, and I'm glad to hear today that we will be one of the founding members of this campaign. Of course, you cannot imagine how excited we are by being part of this club, something that I've never dreamed of maybe just few months back. So thank you very much for this. We are working on repealing all the repressive laws and on press freedom. We are putting a lot of legislations, changing leadership of our TV channels, of broadcasting stations and all that, and creating a true environment where media can flourish and play its rightful role in helping building the nation and bringing us from the ashes. We are also reforming our institutions to accompany this change. You can imagine what a repressive police force, an independent and a totally dependent judicial system could create. We are working on that, and we are serious about having a judiciary system that is totally independent of any interference from politics, from executive, from all that. Historically, we had that, and we are going to restore it. It's a long journey, but I think we are putting our foot in the right direction. Police force has always been a force that is accustomed and used to jailing, of detaining, of crushing demonstrations and all that. In a new Sudan, we will not allow this. People are free to demonstrate in an orderly fashion, of course, and all that, but this will be the new environment. And finally, I can assure you, never again in the new Sudan, journalists will be repressed or oppressed or jailed. I can assure you of that. Thank you very much, and I look forward to an interactive process where we could listen to your views, comments, responses, questions, and thank you for inviting me for this very important and exciting side event. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prime Minister. I'm sure I speak for everybody here today when I say that we are all supporting you at a time of great hope for Sudan. You know, I know many of us watched those images of the protesters, so courageous, led by so many young people, so many women, and it was really amazing to see somebody, as I was watching, somebody reminded me of the phrase, they tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds. And it's really what comes to mind when you watch people like that. So we wish you the best. We are here to offer any support in your important transition towards democracy and freedom. And we're really happy to hear what you have in mind. You know, we always hear the first thing a dictator does when they come to power is muzzle and silence the press. So it's great to hear that when a state is actually transitioning the other way, the first thing they want to do is free the press, and that makes sense. So great to hear your remarks. I'd now like...
That it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
My name is Mark Nelson. I'm the director of the Center for International Media Assistance at the National Endowment for Democracy in Washington. I have a question for the Prime Minister. Do you feel like you're getting the kind of support you need for the legal reforms and changes that your country needs to make? One of the things that we noticed in looking at the support for media development across the world is that international donors who put together $147 billion a year for development only give about 0.3% of that for media development. So out of that 147 billion, there's only about 500 million going to the changes that countries like yours need to make. Do you think we're doing enough, and do you think we can get more of the funding that goes to development to be dedicated to media issues and to media reforms that are needed in countries like yours?
Thank you. Do you want to go ahead and answer? Are there any other, can we collect any other questions specifically directed to the Prime Minister and then give him a chance to respond? Yes.
Hello, sorry. My name is Jamie Angus. I'm the director of the BBC World Service Group. And I just welcomed what the Prime Minister said about reinforcing broadcasting rights in Sudan. And Sudan have entered into dialogue about restoring the BBC World Service's FM broadcasts in the country, which have been missing for a number of years. And I just wanted to welcome that and ask the Prime Minister to confirm his commitment to continuing to expand the rights of trusted international broadcasters, including the BBC, to operate in Sudan, not least for the benefit of the Sudanese population, but also because it makes his country a beacon for so many other countries in the region, and that we would continue to support that. Thank you.
Prime Minister, could I ask you to respond, please?
Thank you very much, and let me first apologize I won't be able to be with you for the entire period. You know, this General Assembly is full of bilaterals, commitments and meetings and all that. On the first question from Mark on the support for legal reform and particularly for the media part of it, you are absolutely right. There's very little resources going into supporting journalists and media freedom and all that. And I think if we are to get that media which is free and equipped and all that, we need to change this mentality and focus. Normally, aid assistance goes to formal structures, maybe the judiciary, others, which is very important, but to the complete neglect of the media, which is left to its own. And the paradox is, in the current climate of cyber space, the electronic media and all that, journalism as we've known it is really under attack and seriously underfunded, under-resourced and all this. So I'm sure we need to work on this. And that can only happen through building an alliance. All of us, society, public opinion at large in the West, to revisit the priorities of the aid business and how it works. So I think we need that orientation, and I think this campaign should take on board some of this agenda and put it firm in the work of the campaign, Amal. On the issue, Jeremy from the BBC, yes, I can assure you, BBC, of course, you know, it's back. I grew up in Sudan in the 60s and the 70s, where the BBC radio was probably the only source of international information for people. And the paradox, years after that, BBC was prohibited from broadcasting from Sudan and people were not having access to that. Today we restored it. But more than that, another news on this, we have also restored the Radio Monte Carlo, which was also banned from Sudan for so many years. So we are very determined to create an environment that is open and allow journalists unfettered access to information, but also to reporting anywhere. This is actually, we are not giving them any kind of privilege. It is good for our people. Free society, free people can only be productive, can be useful in their own life, but also for society. So I'm doing it precisely because of that. Even another one, I'm sure you know that Al Jazeera was banned for a short period. They are back now. So this is something that we feel very strongly about, and we will definitely uphold this. But Amal, if I may just make one or two remarks as a conclusion, then I can leave you. I think from what I heard and from what we live through, we know that democracy worldwide is under attack. And it is up to us to defend it. But we know so well The beauty of democracy is it has the ability of correcting itself. With whatever challenges, and maybe it can get messy, and I'm not seeing that Sudan will suddenly, because of this change, will rise and become a full-fledged democracy the following day. It's a messy process, but we are prepared to go through it, because it is the only way that assures ourselves and our people that this is the way we can have a society that at ease with itself and peaceful and all that. I think we know also democracy is an unfinished business. There is no finished model that you could just import it. I wish there is one. You just take it out of a paper and then unfold it. Societies has to rise and fall in this process, and we are happy to take that journey with all its challenges and problems. We wish and we hope, and I'm sure our friends and partners could help us with this. Not only resources, but also sharing of experiences, just an experience, and how this thing can be inspiring. Training of young journalists and seeing the beauty of working in an open environment. But to conclude, I would just like to reiterate my earlier opening remarks that in a new Sudan, never again we will jail journalists. Thank you so much, and wish to see you in Sudan. Come and report from our society there, our failures and our successes. Thank you very much.